Let me just jump right in, just addressing some of the national headlines, increasingly international headlines around daily cases increasing substantially, not just here in the state of California, but as we'll see all across the United States of America. Daily cases, though, in the state of California have doubled just in the last 10 days. This is simply the fastest increase California has seen since the beginning of this pandemic. As it relates to our blueprint that we put out some 11 weeks ago, when we announced the blueprint for a safer economy, we talked about ability to make advances not only forward, but also move through toggling backwards. We also talked about an emergency brake based upon data and based upon conditions that would provide for a framework of flexibility to tighten restrictions. We have counties now that we are moving back based on that blueprint, based upon the emergency brake, based upon the protocols that we put into place when we announced this blueprint 11 weeks ago, that will allow us to move back, or for that matter, to the extent we see some stability, to allow us flexibility going forward, but counties to move back after 1 week, not just 2 weeks. We are now moving backwards, not forwards. And last week was an indication, an early indication of some movement in the, more restrictive direction. Let me specifically tell you what I mean today. 40 counties now will be moving backwards in the state. You'll see, and I'll show you again, in the original last week tiered status, you had 13 counties in purple, 22 in red. Today, we have 41 counties in purple, 11 in red, less in orange, yes, less in yellow still. So take a look at the map, not those numbers, and you can just see all the purple all up and down the state. Again, I'll go back so you can get a real sense of where we were just a week ago. And now, again, the purple throughout the state of California, represented in the tiered status update that we are announcing here today, not waiting till Tuesday. Bottom line is we're moving from a marathon to a sprint, and I think this is important. This is a point of some optimism in the midst of all of this overwhelming data, not only coming from this presentation in the state of California, but obviously all across this country with increased case rates. And that is the good news that we all heard today around Moderna, this coming on the heels of Pfizer, and the efficacy of their vaccine coming just shy of 95%, a bit better than the efficacy that Pfizer had announced. You'll recall a number of weeks back, we socialized our vaccination plan. We were one of 5 jurisdictions working with the CDC and the Department of Defense, working with the federal government in what we refer to as micro-planning for our vaccine distribution. Rather than criticizing the administration, rather than lamenting about what could or should be done, we engaged proactively and continue to engage proactively to make sure we have a plan for safe and equitable distribution of the vaccine. We also are considering, full disclosure, a little bit of a preview, the notion of a curfew. Now, before you jump in terms of your mindset of whether that's a good idea or bad idea, we are assessing that as well. I have on my desk quite literally 3 studies from France, Germany, and Saudi Arabia, interestingly, that have done comprehensive studies on the efficacy of their strategies as it relates to curfews. We know in the United States there are 2 states in particular that have statewide curfews of interest, at least, and that's Massachusetts and alcohol-based curfew in the state of Virginia. There are a lot of cities, large and small, all across the country that also are promoting certain kinds of curfews. All of that's being assessed. We want to socialize that. We have a lot of questions about what that looks like, what that doesn't look like, who does it impact, who doesn't it impact, what does a real curfew mean in terms of just certain kinds of industry and business activities. That's what we're referring to in this space, but we really want the data to bear out, and we want the information not to be anecdotal. We want to really take a look at those studies. Also learn from Portugal, which is well known, at least for those that have been following internationally, some of those protocols as it relates to curfews.